I want you to do something with me for a second. It's a visualization exercise.
Okay.
Picture a strip of paper, just a standard long rectangular strip, like a bookmark.
Got it.
Now, imagine you hold the ends and you give one end a half twist, just 180 degrees, and then you tape them together. You know what you have.
You have a Mobius strip, a loop with only one side.
Exactly. And the thing that kind of breaks your brain is if you trace your finger along it, you end up on the other side without ever lifting your finger. And eventually you're right back where you started.
It's a physical paradox, yeah.
Yeah.
It really is the perfect metaphor for what we're talking about today.
It really is, because today we are diving into a collection of materials that is basically the philosophical equivalent of that twisted strip of paper.
We're looking at the works of the author Su Feng, specifically his essays on unconventional thinking and the whole philosophy of Lifechanyuan.
And just like that twisted strip, the goal here is to flip your perception of reality a full 180 degrees.
Right. Xu Feng's writing is all about reverse thinking. The core premise is that almost everything we think of as normal is actually abnormal.
And that what we think is impossible is, well, just a failure of imagination.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say, prepping for this was a ride. I mean, I found myself putting the papers down and just staring out the window, trying to, recalibrate.
That's a lot.
We're talking about a worldview where success is framed as a trap, where straight lines are the longest distance, and our closest relationships are, what do you call them, hostage situations.
It is radically counterintuitive, and I think the mission for this deep dive is to approach this as a rigorous workout for your cognitive flexibility. It's about spotting your own blind zones.
So he thinks we're trapped.
He argues that we are trapped in conventional logic, and that this logic is the source of all our suffering. To escape, you have to twist your thinking.
So let's start right there. What does he actually mean by unconventional thinking? Is it just about being contrarian?
Not exactly. He defines it as a very specific type of reverse thinking that breaks the causality we're used to. He actually uses that Mobius strip example.
He does.
Yeah. He says if you don't twist your thinking 180 degrees, you're stuck on a flat plane while the universe is actually curved. You're trying to navigate a 3D world with a 2D map.
He has some examples that they range from the profound to the seemingly ridiculous. There's one that stopped me because it sounded like a riddle. He asks, how do you put on shoes before socks?
It's a fantastic example. It really is, because it triggers that immediate rejection from your brain.
Right. My immediate reaction, and I'm sure yours too, is you can't. It's impossible. Sock, then shoe. End of story.
And that is conventional logic. It relies on fixed definitions, fixed sequences. Feng says if you answer impossible, your brain has stopped working.
You've accepted a limit that might not actually be there.
Exactly.
So how does he solve it? I was trying to figure out if he meant like cutting holes in the shoes or...
Yeah. Right, that's where the mind goes. Well, he offers a few ways to break the fixation. One is purely linguistic. He just says, redefine the terms. Call the leather things socks and the cotton things shoes.
Okay, that feels a little like cheating.
It feels cheeky, sure. But it forces you to realize that shoe and sock are just labels. They aren't the objects themselves. But he also gives a mechanical solution.
Oh.
Imagine a shoe that unzips completely flat. You wrap it around your foot first, then pull a big, stretchy sock over it.
Okay, I see where he's going.
The point isn't that you should wear your shoes inside your socks. The point is to shatter that assumption of impossibility. Once you accept that it's possible, your brain switches from passive to active problem solving. It's a warm-up.
Speaking of heavier stuff,
Yeah.
let's talk geometry. This is where he challenges something we literally all learned in elementary school. He says, between 2 points, the straight line is the longest.
Which just sounds mathematically wrong. The straight line is the shortest distance.
Right. But his whole point is that's only true in a very specific theoretical context, isn't it?
Exactly. In Euclidean geometry, on a perfect, flat, imaginary plane, a straight line is the shortcut. But Feng points out, we don't live on a flat plane.
We live on a curved Earth.
In a curved universe. So if you want to go from, say, New York to Beijing, and you try to draw a literal straight line...
You'd have to tunnel through the Earth's core.
Right, impossible. Or if you flew in a straight line without adjusting for curvature, you just fly off on a tangent into space. You'd get further away from Beijing every second.
So in our reality, the flight path is the shortest practical distance.
Precisely. And he's using this to say that the direct, straight line approach to life is often the least effective. He suggests the winding path, the curve, is actually the shortcut.
That transitions perfectly into his whole view on success. This is the part of the text that I think just clashes so much with our hustle culture.
Oh, absolutely.
We're conditioned to think success is the goal. Money, status, recognition. Shrefeng calls it a trap.
A trap set by the devil, to use his exact words. He's very critical of the whole self-help industry. He even calls out Napoleon Hill.
The law of success? I
Yeah.
mean, that's basically the Bible of business self-help.
It is. But Zhu Feng says he read that book, he got all fired up, became ambitious, tried to make money, and just promptly got defrauded and ended up miserable.
Wow.
But his broader point is that pushing people to forge ahead and climb the ladder is just pushing them towards their own destruction.
Yeah.
He uses this visceral imagery of distorted faces and shattered souls.
It's the anxiety of it all, the maintenance.
That's the key insight. You get wealth, you worry about the market, you get fame, you're terrified of a scandal, you become a servant to your own success. He argues true freedom is in nature, not the boardroom.
He tells that story about the swans to illustrate it. The wild swans versus the domesticated ones. I found it kind of heartbreaking, but it sticks with you.
It's a powerful parable. So you have these wild swans flying south. They're facing storms, hunters, hunger. It's this brutal struggle.
A real fight for survival.
Right. Then some of them land at a farm, and a human starts feeding them. They get shelter, food, they get fat. And they tell the other wild swans, "Where are you struggling? Stay here, it's easy."
And the wild swans, the ones who value their freedom, they eventually leave.
They do. And a year later, when they fly back, the domesticated ones are gone.
Oh, no.
They've been eaten by the farmer.
Oof. That's a turn.
The domestic swans achieved success, stability, comfort, safety. But the cost was their agency and, eventually, their lives. Schrifting is arguing that the struggle of the wild is superior to the trap of comfort.
It makes you ask yourself, what am I being fattened up for? Is this comfortable salary actually a cage?
That's the question. Value the flight over the pond.
Okay, let's go deeper. We've done shoes, success now. The nature of reality itself. The source material spends a lot of time on idealism versus materialism.
A classic philosophical showdown.
In materialism, the view of modern science says matter comes first. Atoms make a brain. The brain makes consciousness.
And Sweffing takes the hard idealist stance. Consciousness determines existence.
The idea comes before the object.
Right. Before a car exists, it's a design in someone's mind. A house is a blueprint. He argues everything we see, our bodies, our cities, it's all a projection of our internal consciousness.
He gives that really vivid, and I have to say, a somewhat provocative example comparing different environments.
Yes, he talks about observing Western cities being clean and orderly with flowers and lawns. He contrasts it with an anecdote about his son visiting New York's Chinatown and finding it messy.
Even though it's in one of the richest cities on Earth.
And that's his point. It wasn't about economics. He argues that even with all the resources of New York, the environment stayed chaotic. Why? He believes it's because the consciousness of the inhabitants was projected onto the physical space.
So his formula is, if consciousness is chaotic, the room is chaotic.
That's his argument. You can't fix your life by just rearranging the furniture. You have to rearrange your mind. The external world is just a mirror.
Which brings us to the ultimate mirror, life and death. Shuefeng has this phrase, life is death and death is life.
The Mobius strip coming back around.
Exactly.
He's very big on reincarnation. The text cites specific cases, like Shanti Devi in India, a girl who supposedly remembered a past life with details she couldn't have known.
And the soul boys in Tibet. But what I found fascinating, and honestly a little sci-fi, was his idea of brain colors.
Ah, yeah. This is a very specific claim he makes. He says at the moment of death, there's this release of energy. And if you had a special scanner, you could see the color of the light leaving the brain. And that color, it's a boarding pass.
A boarding pass to where?
Well, purple means you're headed to the Elysium world, the highest state. Red or green, maybe you're staying in the 1,000-year world, which is a step up.
And the bad news?
Is black. Black energy means the netherworld, or hell. He ties it back to how you lived. If you were black-hearted, selfish, cruel, your frequency physically matches that black energy. It's cosmic sorting.
It's interesting. It frames morality not as rules in a book, but as physics. You're literally tuning your own frequency.
You are. And that concept of frequency is the bridge to the next section, which is, well, this is where things get really intense.
Okay.
When Rifeng applies his unconventional thinking to society, he dismantles two things we hold very, very dear: democracy and family.
He really doesn't pull any punches here. Let's start with democracy. For most of us, it's simple. Democracy good, dictatorship bad. Shifeng says, Not so fast.
He brings up that Chinese proverb about the cobblers.
3 cobblers equal a genius, meaning collective wisdom is superior.
And he just completely refutes it. He argues, 30,000 cobblers cannot match one genius. You can't vote your way to the theory of relativity.
He calls democracy the pursuit of mediocrity.
He does. His argument is that the universe is run unilaterally by one greatest creator. Nature doesn't operate by committee. So he argues human society should function the same way.
With a single visionary mind, a sage.
Yeah. Exactly. Rather than consensus, which he thinks just leads to inefficiency and a lack of real responsibility, he asks, no matter how democratic a flock of sheep is, can it resist a wolf?
That's a provocative question.
It is.
And look, if that ruffles some feathers, his views on relationships will probably set the rest on fire. This part really stopped me. He basically says, special relationships.
Family, marriage, friendships.
All of it. They are the enemies of spiritual freedom.
This is absolutely central to his philosophy. He views emotional dependence as a hindrance to civilization. He uses the metaphor of a hostage situation.
A hostage situation that is so intense.
It is, but look at his justification. He argues parents take children hostage with guilt. I sacrificed for you, so you must obey me. Spouses constrain each other with jealousy. He says these bonds create worry and fear and prevent you from being free.
He asks the reader, if you lived on an island and no one cared if you lived or died, would you still worry so much?
And his alternative is this second home model. It's a communal life without marriage, where everyone is independent, no one belongs to anyone, which leads to his concept of the amorous heart.
Yeah, let's explain that, because amorous usually implies something else.
In his context, he's redefining it. He argues that the human heart is naturally vast, like the sun. The sun doesn't just shine on one tree. He claims monogamy goes against human nature, that it's a devil's program designed to create jealousy and pain.
So loving many people is true, and promising to love only one is a lie.
According to him, yes. He believes if you strip away possessive relationships, you eliminate the pain of loss, of jealousy. You treat everyone with universal love rather than hoarding it for a few people.
It's definitely a 180-degree turn from how most of us operate. But this all brings us to the why. Why do all this? It seems to point to this idea of resonance.
Right. The ultimate goal isn't just to be weird for the sake of it. It's to resonate with the frequency of heaven, of the greatest creator.
Unite with heaven, resonate at the same frequency. It sounds like tuning a radio.
That's a great analogy. He argues the universe has a rhythm. The will of heaven is the direction the universe is moving. And if a species or a person refuses to adapt their internal frequency, they face extinction.
He uses the dinosaurs as an example of that.
Exactly. He warns that humanity is fragile because we rely on external comforts, air conditioning, grocery stores, instead of internal adaptability. He says we need to be flexible, resonant. If we're rigid, we snap when the wind changes.
He also touches on this idea of the unified field. He says that in this field, parallel lines can intersect.
This is where he really blends physics and mysticism. In our geometry, parallel lines never meet. But Zweffing suggests that if you see the universe as one unified whole, everything is connected. The separation we see is an illusion.
So in this unified field, everything touches everything.
The distinctions collapse. And there's this paradox about energy that I actually found really inspiring. It's about giving versus taking.
Ah, yes. The secret to acquiring infinite energy.
Materially, if I have $10 and I give them to you, I have zero. I'm depleted. That's conventional thinking.
But non-materially.
Non-materially, with wisdom, love, spiritual energy, the logic reverses. The more you release, the more you gain. It's like a well. You draw water, fresh water flows in. If you seal the well to save it, the water goes stagnant.
So by emptying yourself, you become full.
Precisely.
Yeah.
People who hoard their energy become depleted. But those who give it away freely, they tap into an infinite source. They become a conduit, the ultimate reverse thinking.
Wow. We have covered a lot of ground. I mean, from putting shoes on before socks to completely dismantling democracy and the family.
It's a lot to process. And again, I think that's the whole point. It's designed to shake your foundations. You start with a little puzzle about shoes, and suddenly you're questioning if your definition of success is ruining your life.
The mission we talked about at the start, escaping the blind zone, that's what this is all about, isn't it?
I think so. His argument is that we are all walking around like blind people, obsessed with things that don't matter. He wants to shock the system so we can see these higher states of existence that are right in front of us if we just twist our perspective.
There's one final thought from the text that really stuck with me. It brings it all back down to earth. It's about security.
Ah, yes, the comparison with the animals.
We build security doors, we buy insurance, we have hospitals and police, we are obsessed with safety, and yet,
And yet we feel less secure than ever. Anxiety is through the roof. We can't sleep.
meanwhile, you look outside at the birds in the courtyard. They have no doctors, no insurance, no locks on their nests.
And yet they chirp happily every morning. They live freely. They trust the environment.
And Shifeng asks, are we, in all our conventional wisdom and all our protections, actually the blind ones?
It's a profound question. Does our obsession with controlling the future rob us of the present? By trying to secure our lives, are we just building our own cages?
That is something I'm going to be thinking about for a long, long time. Whether you agree with the solutions or not, the questions are worth asking. Thank you for taking this deep dive with me. It was definitely a trip.
It was a pleasure. Keep twisting that logic.
And to you listening, thanks for joining us. We'll see you on the next deep dive.